Non-lethal. This is probably not in the top 5 words you think of when you hear Assassin's Creed. You probably think first of hidden blades, hoods, and jumping on rooftops. However, since Assassin's Creed is somewhat linked to the stealth genre, non-lethal methods do have a place in the series. I mean, the best stealth games offer non-lethal and lethal options when dealing with enemies. Just look at the Thief series, Dishonored, and even Metal Gear. Non-lethal was always an aspect of stealth that, while underused, adds flavor to any game. And since I also like to explore these non-lethal routes in the games I play, I decided to rank all the 14 mainline Assassin's Creed games based on their non-lethal stealth takedowns. To clarify, this ranking will be based on how the games handle non-lethal stealth takedowns. Emphasis on the stealth word here. I am aware that some of the games have better non-lethal combat when compared to others, and if we take those into account, the ranking would be significantly different. So anyway, let's begin. In the last place is Assassin's Creed 1, the OG Assassin's Creed. While I love this game and it built the foundation for the games and characters that we all love, I cannot hide the fact that it lacked non-lethal stealth takedowns. When you attempt to do one by equipping your fist, Altair will just punch the guard regardless if they are aware of you or not. This instantly breaks you out of stealth and will alert guards nearby. The only way to deal with enemies non-lethally is by punching them during combat. Even then, the system is a bit clunky and would even force Altair to draw his sword from time to time. And so because of these reasons, AC1 falls into the last place. In 13th place is Assassin's Creed 2, the first of the Ezio trilogy. Similar to AC1, official non-lethal stealth takedowns are non-existent in AC2. When you attempt to do one, Ezio will just punch a guard similar to what Altair does. However, I did find a way to do non-lethal stealth takedowns in the game. To do it, you have to poison an enemy with a poisoned blade and then punch them. Instead of dying from the poison, they will instead be knocked down and enter the unconscious animation, meaning they have been non-lethally taken down. But since this may not be an intended feature, and even if it is, it can be unreliable. You'll need to unlock the poison blade first, and then there's also the risk of getting hit by the guard who will be flailing around from the poison. So I think AC2 sits just right in the 13th place. In 12th place is Valhalla. Now Valhalla does not have any non-lethal stealth takedowns. However, what it does have are sleep arrows which can be found pretty early in the game in the Norway map. With the sleep arrows, Eivor can pretty much non-lethally deal with guards in her way. If you upgrade the skill, it becomes more powerful as it produces an AoE smoke that puts anyone in range to sleep. While that sounds powerful, I do want to note that it is considered a skill, and so because of Valhalla's quote-unquote mana system, you can't really use it all the time. Once you run out of mana or stamina, you'll have to regenerate it via lethal assassinations or combat. So regardless if you use this skill, you'll still end up needing to kill enemies to continue using it throughout your playthrough. For that reason, Valhalla sits in 12th place. In 11th place is AC Unity, the AC game with the best stealth according to many. AC Unity does have a non-lethal takedown button. However, the stealth takedown is pretty slow, especially compared to how Arno moves when he's doing assassinations with a hidden blade. Doing a non-lethal stealth takedown in Unity makes you feel vulnerable due to the time it takes. This mechanic in the game felt like it was added later when they remembered that they had non-lethal takedowns in previous games. There's nothing great about it, nor was it really that bad. though it felt like Arno would have found faster ways to knock out enemies if he could move so swiftly in other times. For the 10th place, Brotherhood. Brotherhood is the first AC game with an actual non-lethal stealth takedown button. The game allowed Ezio to take out enemies without straight up killing them. However, you have to admit those animations didn't feel like they were non-lethal. But regardless, this addition was a welcome one since heavy role players who want to spare some of the guards have a way to be a Batman-like character. Well, until they have to actually kill the target. Additionally, the poison and fist combo to knock out guards is still doable in Brotherhood. So with the addition of a poison dart, you can poison an enemy from a distance and then close the gap to knock them out. A pretty cool and useful gimmick. Next in 9th place is AC Shadows. The non-lethal stealth takedown in Shadows started off exclusive to Naue. She can grab an enemy with the rope of her grappling hook and drag them somewhere. She can then perform a non-lethal takedown while grabbing an NPC. In a latest update, Yasuke was also given the ability to do a non-lethal stealth takedown, although it does seem super basic. However, the mechanic is pretty simple and there is no other accompanying mechanic to make it interesting in the game. Plus, having to press the grab button first and then clicking another button to do the takedown takes too much time. Still, being able to move an enemy before taking them out is pretty good. Mirage is the 8th placer in this list. Now, Mirage does not have a non-lethal stealth takedown button, similar to the bottom placers in the list. However, the reason Mirage got to 8th place is because of the sleep dart and traps. You see, in replacement of a proper non-lethal takedown, Basim can instead use a sleep dart and traps to put enemies to sleep or knock them down while remaining in stealth. It's pretty similar to the sleep arrows in Valhalla, but unlike in Valhalla, Basim's sleep dart and trap ammo are not tied to a stamina or mana bar. Basim can resupply in an assassin bureau and most of the time from supply chests that scatter all around the map including during missions. Because of this, plus AC Mirage's level design, the sleep dart and traps can be viable replacements for an actual non-lethal takedown. Next, we have Revelations in 7th place. Non-lethal stealth takedowns in AC Revelations are pretty much the same as in Brotherhood. However, Revelations managed to move up a bit because of the bomb system. You see, there are multiple types of bombs in Revelations, including ones that can help in performing non-lethal stealth takedowns. I'm not just talking about smoke bombs but ones like stink bombs, blood bombs, and caltrops. These utilities can allow old Ezio to perform multiple non-lethal takedowns when engaging a group of enemies. Also, while not really a stealth takedown and part of the category, I always loved the hook blade counter that knocks out enemies during combat. So I'm throwing in a bonus point for that. In 6th place is Odyssey. I am actually pretty surprised myself, but after replaying the games, I can somehow see this. Odyssey does have a non-lethal takedown button, allowing Cassandra to knock out enemies. She can even do so while running or jumping from above. This makes non-lethal stealth pretty viable. However, the problem in Odyssey is the damage scaling. If you do not make a stealth build that focuses on maximum damage, you will probably fail to knock out half of the guards you want to take out. For example, in my main Odyssey save, I made a 100% crit build with 500% crit damage. This allows me to kill or knock out most enemies with one hit of any weapon, provided I am unseen. However, if you look closely when I hover at an enemy, the damage prediction only says I will do half damage to their health. If you do not have a crit build like mine, you probably won't be able to do what I did. And so because of that, I can't put Odyssey any higher. Non-lethal stealth is viable, but it is a lot of work to make sure it is consistent. I mean, I only finished my crit build after doing all the DLCs, and that probably took 100 hours or more. In 5th place is Syndicate. Now, I can see people raising their eyebrows, wondering how Syndicate made it up here. I mean, Syndicate stealth is identical to Unity, and Unity is in 11th place. However, the thing that took Syndicate up was the kidnap mechanic. You see, Syndicate does have non-lethal stealth takedowns. Again, animations are almost identical to Unity. But the thing is, Syndicate introduced the kidnap mechanic where you can grab an enemy and use them as some sort of shield so enemies cannot detect you in plain sight. I think this mechanic perfectly complements a non-lethal playstyle since you can relocate an enemy before knocking them out. You can use them as a mobile haystack and position yourself deep within enemy territory. I just think that is neat and worth 5th place. Fourth place goes to Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 3 improved upon the basic non-lethal takedown from the Ezio trilogy. Connor's non-lethal stealth takedown feels smooth compared to the brutal moves that Ezio unleashes. I mean, some of those moves look lethal to me. Anyway, non-lethal takedowns in AC3 were not just limited to walking up behind enemies and knocking them out. In the game, Connor can do running non-lethal takedowns which feel impactful and powerful. In some cases, when enemies align, he can even knock out 2 enemies in quick succession before they even know what hit them. AC3 created a good foundation that would be improved upon in the next games. Our third placer is Origins. Surprising, I know. An AC RPG high in this rank. However, when it comes to non-lethal stealth takedowns, Origins surprisingly has a good portfolio. Most players will think that Baya can only do non-lethal takedowns before he gets the Hidden Blade. However, this is not true. If you decide to equip your fist in either of your weapon slots, you will then have the option to do non-lethal stealth takedowns. Generally, the damage you'll deal will be dependent on your gear. However, since Origin's leveling system is not as horrible as Odyssey, relying on your fist for the takedowns is pretty viable. With it, you can do running takedowns, takedowns from the air, and from behind. If your adrenaline meter is full, you can even do a dropkick that will knock out most enemies. However, I do want to note that the bigger enemies like Commander Brutes or whatever they're called may be too spongy for Bayek to knock out. Regardless, if you want to non-lethally take out a fort, you can probably deal with 80 to 90% of the guards using the takedowns and your sleep darts. Don't forget the sleep darts. In 2nd place is Black Flag, which puts Rogue in 1st place. Now, I want to talk about these two simultaneously simply because they have the same non-lethal stealth mechanics. The only difference is one thing: Shay's gun, which includes the sleep grenade. Both games are an improvement of AC3's non-lethal stealth takedowns. Black Flag introduced the ability to do non-lethal air takedowns, which always felt great. This allowed for more freedom of approach, instead of just walking or running close to an enemy. Aside from that, Black Flag also introduced sleep darts, which are great non-lethal tools. Because of these things, plus the availability of unarmed combat, playing Black Flag and Rogue make it seem like a pacifist playstyle is viable. I never tried, but maybe it's doable with the only kill you'll do are the main targets. Now, Rogue stole the 1st place simply because Shay's gun made the non-lethal route super easy and viable. The gun has a longer range than the sleep dart from Black Flag, allowing Shay to rely on it for dealing with distant enemies. Then there's the sleep grenade, which is an AoE tool that can put a group of enemies to sleep. Other than that though, there's nothing really different between Rogue and Black Flag. To be honest, I can see them flipping positions if we take the route that Black Flag is a bigger game and so more opportunities for non-lethal play. But yeah, that's my ranking of the Assassin's Creed games based on non-lethal stealth takedowns.